What up, people? Welcome back to the Dugout Podcast. We're here with your boy Ryan Leaf. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome back. I hope you guys are all great. It's another day here in Durban, South Africa. It's pretty chilly. Everyone's pretty cold. Everyone's all wrapped up. You can see I'm wearing a hoodie. And I hope you guys are all just looking after yourselves, yeah? I hope you guys are just taking it easy as well. So I'm just here. We're having a good chat with Daniel and Henry. They've had pretty much just banter vibes they've been having a lot of the time. They've been talking in the DMs. Dan's been calling Henry out a lot of the time. So yeah, let's just figure out what's been happening. Today we're going to be chatting about Manchester City and them escaping a 2-year ban from the Champions League. Anyway, I hope you guys are all good. You can follow me on Instagram at the below handles. You can follow me on Twitter as well. Let me just admit these guys to the call. Okay, they're both here. They're both on time.
Away.
Oh, wait, what up, boys? What up, Henzo?
Yeah, I'm here. We live.
It's good to have you here, man.
Always, brother. Good to be on.
Good to have you here. What up, Dan?
What up, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Loud and clear. Loud
Awesome.
and clear, Maji.
Oh, the enemy is in here,
How are you? Good?
Yeah, I'm good, and you, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
That's great. Hopefully we both stay that way.
No, we will.
It's good to have you guys here. I know you guys have been chatting in the DMs, obviously sorting out your differences. What actually happened in the DM?
Whew.
Agreed on a lot of stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, actually, it's not as wild as I thought it would be, bro. Because, I saw those 2 clips, and I was like, whoa, Dan has all the smoke for me. I was like, what's gonna happen? So I actually messaged him first because I wanted to see all the vibes, see what was happening. And then we actually had a pretty good conversation, bro.
Yeah,
it was very reasonable. It wasn't anything wild. We just
yeah, we're gonna fight each
other. But
Wait.
it was good.
Who actually reached out first? Who was it? Was it Daniel?
Nah, it was me.
No.
Because I know Dan to be the peacemaker. I know Henry's normally out for blood these days.
Yeah, I changed people.
Yeah. Yeah, lockdown changed me, bro. And you know what? It's hard to be out for blood when you're the champions. I feel like
exactly.
You just need to be the example for every other fan.
It's hard to hunt for blood when you're kind of the peasant of the top 6.
Oh.
Nothing more I can say. I can't do anything.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's good to have you boys here. It's here,
Yeah,
Dan.
man.
You're not feeling cold. I'm freezing up in here.
No, I'm not feeling cold.
I'm okay for now.
I'm also in a shirt.
COVID.
Yeah, man. Maybe I have it.
It's not a joke. Why are we laughing?
Yo! The way you said it.
Maybe it's that bluff air, bro.
But hear me out. Let's get into it. Yeah, we're also having a good talk behind the scenes. Some crazy things have been happening in the football world. I think you guys have been seeing what's been going on with the likes of Manchester City, and they escaped their 2-year Champions League ban. Now, that basically kicks financial fair play to the curb, because if we look at it, financial fair play was there to regulate the way clubs spend their actual earnings over a year period. Now, what happens going forward, Dan, with City? Because that just opens up the floodgates for City to go wild in the transfer market now.
Well, this is okay. I don't think anybody knows the details of what they were accused of or whatever, but the fact remains is that City have now, I see they have to pay a fine of like £10 million a year or 10 million euros a year or something like that. My thing is, And I heard Jose talking about it just now, and I was actually thinking it before I was even watching. I thought, why does someone have to pay a fine if they're not guilty? Do you know what I mean? If you're found not guilty of something, you're not going to be put under house arrest or something. You know what I mean? You don't have to serve or be punished at all. You
Yeah.
walk away scot free.
Yeah.
So why is City having to pay a fine if they haven't committed anything?
Yeah. Apparently they were saying that the punishment was too harsh. It was too harsh. They were saying
Well, how
that.
are we supposed to know? Because they haven't released any details.
Yeah. So basically,
we must just trust that, and that money goes directly to UEFA. Like, it kind of seems a bit odd, to be honest.
So basically, City were punished because they were inflating their revenues for the year by claiming it's sponsorships, when in actual fact the club's ownership gave them a cash injection. Now that is wrong, because that is a breach of financial fair play's rules in the first place.
Fuck.
Henry, talk to me about what happens now with City going forward, because the reality is this puts them in a major position to go forward and strengthen their squad in the transfer window.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts as well, because from what I was reading, people were saying that sleeve sponsors are only allowed to give you 3 to 5 million, I think, something like that. And City injected about 30 million pounds through that sleeve sponsor. That was
50,
what was
3-0.
Yeah,
What?
yeah,
Fuck.
3-0. So they breached it by like 25 million. And 25 million to a club of that stature is probably like chump change. But then in terms of what it does to like your revenue and how it can cook your books, that goes a long way. Because when you think about all the transfers that City make over the last 5 years, like, because Pep has made a few signings, like that's one thing people don't highlight. And he's always chopping and changing that defense. So now you ask me what's that going to do for City? That puts them at a major advantage, because also from what I'm seeing is that players are going to be going for cheaper amounts now because of this whole corona pandemic thing. And also with the lack of international football, which usually injects people's prices, like because they go on a very wild run when they go for internationals, and that adds to their price. And whether or not they win the title as well, because like for French players or for players who are in top tier international teams, when they win or get further in competition, that increases their price as well. Now we're in this situation where no one's really playing football for like 2-3 months. So you can easily go and negotiate for cheaper prices on players. And also with this whole pandemic thing. And a lot of people are talking about City, but also another thing that's going to happen is this Newcastle takeover is also going to show us flames. Because if this guy comes in and he takes over, both these clubs are going to be spending so freely, it's going to be disgusting. Like City can literally finally go buy Messi if they wanted to, and no one would stop them. Like even Ronaldo, if Ronaldo just decides, Juventus just aren't paying me enough, and City puts down a fat check, they can free him and bring him across too. It just depends on whether he wants to go or not. So this is going to be crazy.
I heard with Newcastle, those potential owners are, and I'm not joking when I say this, they're literally 10 times richer than the Man City owners.
Yeah.
Which is
That's
crazy.
That's true, 100%. But you know what scares me the most? What scares me the most is that this sets a precedent now for other football clubs to breach financial fair play and to get away with it. And like Henry said, Newcastle's ownership coming in are not going to feel afraid to cook the books going forward, because they're going to get slapped in the wrist with a £9 million fine.
Yeah, and let's be honest. There's so much money involved in football. I think there's so much more dodgy stuff that goes on behind the scenes that no one ever speaks of or reveals or anything like that. But I mean, it's
definitely.
I think these things definitely go on anyway. But the fact that it was brought to light that Man City have been doing dodgy shit, and now they must pay a small little, basically a little tap on the wrist almost. It's like as you said, it's just going to open the floodgates and people can do what they want as long as your price is right, really.
And if we look at history, I mean, history tells us that clubs have gotten away with this. I mean, PSG got away with it a couple of years ago. City again. So
Yeah.
like I'm
And
saying,
they went and bought Mbappe after that and a whole lot of other people.
and Neymar. So this sets an entire precedent now going forward. Like, what is the point of financial fair play if it's not going to work? What's the point of it?
Yeah. They should honestly cut it out, in all seriousness. I mean, to be fair with you, money doesn't dictate who wins. I mean, Liverpool are the best team in the world, and they've probably spent less than flipping, probably like Fulham or one of those teams who spent like 100 million cold hard cash and got relegated.
Yeah.
You know, so to be fair, people need to actually use this rather than this to actually get places. Screw financials. If City want to go buy people, let them go buy people. But you can see they've spent so much money still, and Liverpool still dominated them this season. So to be fair, money doesn't even win in the end.
I think what people fail to understand is that Liverpool took a whole different approach when they sold Philippe Coutinho for 148 million pounds. That's a whole different thing. We spent that money to get Alisson and Virgil van Dijk. People are so fast to jump on the bandwagon and say that Liverpool bought the Premier League, but in actual fact, we weren't out here using our owners' money. We sold Philippe Coutinho to transform our team.
But even on that note, tell me how many of those players are actually like regarded as like your big name Ballon d'Or players. None of them, to be honest, except for like Alisson's top class, Van Dijk's good. You know, so to be fair, the whole Liverpool team is not even. They're not even like what you call your 5-star type players, you know. They're just a great team that came together.
Yeah. Henry, speak to me about the lack of consistency with financial fair play, because we've seen the courts of arbitration for sport rule in City's favor. We've seen that happen now. Should financial fair play going forward even be relevant in the world of football if it's not going to actually do any justice?
You know what? I agree with Dan on that standpoint, because when you look at it, when I look at the clubs that have been penalized for financial fair play, it's not necessarily like Barcelona. Fair enough, they have a lot of money, but Barcelona in Spain is considered as the people's club. And a lot of people don't understand that the rivalry that came to be between Barcelona and Real Madrid is because Barcelona was created by community and the people, and Real Madrid was created by the royal family. So it's interesting to see that, like, when it's Barca, they go hard. Like, they banned Barca, they did all that. But then when it's a team that has, like, a lot of guaranteed cash behind them, like, let's say, I won't say Real Madrid, but obviously we see it now with City. There's a lot of guaranteed cash. Yeah, they sort of allow things to subside. Even you could say Chelsea too, but Chelsea at least got some punishment. But then obviously they got relieved now and they're back to spending for when it was supposed to be 2 transfer windows. So when I look at it that way, it's like, what's the point of setting up all these regulations and rules when people always certain type of clubs will always worm their way out of it? So it's like, initially, what is the point? Because the initial thing of financial fair play was to help smaller clubs retain players more, and also stop big clubs from ruining their own leagues by buying all the superstars from. But then now you look at City. City had 2 full first teams. Like no one talks about that. Like, City have 2 full first teams. They have a player that's just as good in every position, or could be as good in every position. And that's like crazy to me that like Sterling or Sane in the past could be injured, and then you just put on Mahrez and Bernardo Silva. And that's still a team that is super, super world class. And it's like, wow. And also they're paying these dudes like from 150K to like 350K. So the wage budget is also blown. And that's the one attraction factor of going to City. Like, you get a huge contract. Even if you're sitting on the bench, you're still eating good. and your team will always be guaranteed trophies because obviously it's two full first teams. So whether you don't win the Premier League, you win the FA Cup. Whether you don't win the FA Cup, you'll probably have a run for the Premier League, or you win the Carabao. And it's like, in my eyes, it's always been like, what? Because I haven't seen financial fair play do anything apart from Barca, and that was them trying to make a point that they can take down a big team no matter how big the team is. But then they move the goalpost when it comes to like a club like Real Madrid, or it comes to a club like PSG, or it comes to a club like Man City in this case. So it's very telling. And also that the fact that they've fined them 10 million, because I saw people joking about it like, oh, UEFA's struggling in this COVID situation. They needed that 10 mil. So I was like, whoa. And then it's like, I don't understand. I just don't understand it, like, to be honest, because also for clubs like Liverpool, you see how much trouble we get into for signing some players. Like, we're going into a tribunal now for Harvey Elliott, who came to our club without being fully of age. So Fulham are coming after us for tribunal. And we had this exact same thing happen with Danny Ings. We had this exact same thing happen. And you see clubs like City who snap up everyone else's youngsters, and literally things go under the rug. Like, it's just very interesting to me. I'm not saying that, like, maybe we do dodgy business, but then on the other end, I feel like a lot of people do dodgy business, as Chelsea got called out for their youngster spree as well. But yeah, I just feel like financial fair play isn't it right now, and I don't think it will be. They need to figure something else out.
I think it's almost become obsolete now, because there's no point in having it. It's not enforcing any kind of rules.
Yeah.
It's not doing anything to protect smaller clubs. It's not helping. It's not helping diversify the talent across the league. It's not helping when it comes to protecting the finances of other football clubs.
If anything, with the structure of it, it actually cripples the smaller clubs more. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think financial fair play was originally designed because a lot of the small teams are going into administration. So a lot of the owners were coming along and piling in cash, and it wasn't working out, and eventually they would go bust. And I think they started making rules that would help balance the books as much as possible, so the club wouldn't end up going under, and then eventually the club becomes obsolete eventually. You know, like Portsmouth, they went into administration and were screwed. But
you know why the clubs go under, Dan? Do you know why? No. They go under because they get all these enormous lines of credit to buy players. Because
exactly.
And the thing is, the bank don't say, oh, you can't afford this. The bank say, oh, there's £100 million in credits. Go do whatever you want with it. And they basically spend it around the club, and they can't afford to pay it back.
Exactly. Now, that's why I think they created that. So it's to limit, okay, you've only got so much financial power now. This is how much you can spend. But it's still, at the same time, in terms of competitiveness, it still cripples the small teams, because if your wage balance is so small, you can't just go getting in a massive player and increasing your wage balance by so much. I know there was a rumor going around about us signing someone, I think it was like 2 years ago. Oh no, Arsenal can't afford to do this because their wage budget's too big with Ozil and all this crap. And it was like, okay, well, if that's the case, then that's like more crippling to us than anything else, to other clubs in general, actually.
Yeah.
I wanted to take that next step. You can't just do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what? Pep Guardiola came out 48 hours ago in the press, and he was saying that, like, he's so confident that City would actually win this appeal, or whatever the case is. It just scares me how there's no punishment for City. They can do what they want. They can behave anyhow. They can spend however much they want to. They can own 7 or 8 football clubs and move money around. It's baffling to me as to how it kind of begs me to question, what do City have over UEFA? What do they have hanging over their heads? What do they actually have?
It's the same as every money ring, isn't it? To be fair, there's so much money in football. Think about it logically. If there's a massive amount of money, there's going to be a group that want to be like, you know what, let's try to keep it as tight as we can, you know. And they obviously have connections. I mean, there's so much money involved and so much power. There's loopholes through everything. That's how the whole economy in general and life works, you know. you've just got to have the right people. You have the right lawyer who probably does the cases for everybody else as well. The best financial people, they'll get you out of it no matter what you do, to be honest.
Henry,
Yeah, and they always say that if you follow the man, you'll find the money. But if you follow the money, you'll find something completely darker than that. So yeah, I agree with you.
Henry, so since someone like Leroy Sané has left for 55 million pounds, we look at stuff like that.
Mistake.
We look at the matchday revenue they've earned for this year before COVID. We look at the money that they have in their reserves. Where do they go out this summer and go and strengthen? Because City are they are like there's no questioning it anymore. They are going to go into the transfer market this year and strengthen the team. Where do they start?
You know what? City's always such a strange team because when I've always looked at City, I've been like, okay, attack, world class, midfield, world class, defense, highly disgusting, like very questionable.
Highly disgusting.
And then you always think every year like, okay, they'll go in big on defense. I guess Laporte was fire. Yeah, he's fire. But then you think like Kyle Walker, he's getting old, injury prone. Like, will they do something? And then they'll always buy someone that's like not even on anyone else's radar, like Danilo. I was like, why are they buying Danilo? I was literally like, wow, this is like when you start a Bournemouth career mode and you need someone just for now so that you can go just so that you can go spend big later on. So then I was looking at it, I was like, Danilo, like, geez, bro. And then Mendy, okay, that was interesting, but I still felt like Mendy's a top 6 type of defender. He's not necessarily a top 3 team type of defender. Because I watched him play, and yeah, he was on a run, but Alexandro to me was one of the obvious choices at that time. And Alex Tejes, he's also fire. There were a couple good, even Alaba. Like, I was thinking Pep might go back to Bayern and be like, Alaba, maybe you want to come join. But then, yeah, I would suspect them to spend big in defense this transfer window. That's where I see most of their money going towards.
Dan, do you agree with that? Because obviously someone that's underwhelmed us as well in the City back line is someone like João Cancelo. I mean, we've watched him over Europe, and he was mad for the team he played for previously. It hasn't worked out at City. I think right back would be a good place to strengthen. But do you agree with Henry that they actually look backwards first before they move forwards?
Yeah. Okay. Before I go into who they should buy in defense, I'll say, well, we all know that's where they're going to strengthen because that's where they came out under scrutiny during the season, was the defense. But I find it quite funny because they've literally just balled like 250 million on a defense. And now we're talking again that they need another defense. And it's like, it's a bit ridiculous. And it just shows that the club is not great in sustaining its form, but whatever. The thing that's actually peeved me off a bit about them is that with the infrastructure they have, they won 2 back-to-back titles. They got a lot of experienced players in there, or they had a lot of experienced players, your companies, your David Silvers, etc. You would think that they would give chance to maybe one youth player at least in defense, like a right back or someone with pace, someone that's, that can get up and down. But again, their youth academy, I don't know anything about them. No one does, to be honest.
Yeah, Eric Garcia. Eric Garcia has come to the academy now.
Okay, yeah. He played against us, and I remember he got knocked out by his own keeper.
Yeah,
but like that's where I would have liked them to go. But realistically, what I think they need to put them on top right now would be, screw it, everyone says, Koulibaly's your man. Yeah. He's your Van Dijk top signing. He will go into that back line straight away, and they'll just be, boom, they'll be solid. Him and Laporte maybe next to each other, I think it'll be freakish. Disgusting. I think the rest would be kind of irrelevant. You can have whatever right back you want. You can buy Delph and put him at right back, and you'll still do something great with those 2 centre backs.
Yeah,
You know,
I agree with you, Dan. Finding a good partner for Laporte is key.
Mm.
It's crucial. It's crucial. But someone like David Silva, as you said, leaving, that leaves the responsibility now on young Phil Foden. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on Phil Foden recently?
Go for it, Henry.
Oh, okay. The way I see Phil Foden is excellent. I've been saying this since England won that Youth World Cup,
Yeah.
because it was him, Sancho, and
Reece Nelson.
it was Reece Nelson. Although Reece Nelson was good then, but then it was like the ones that stood out the most was Foden and Sancho, and also Brewster at the time.
Yeah, Brewster.
So I was like, whoa, like City have these two firing youngsters. And at first I was like, when you always look at youngsters, because like we always think about Theo Walcott's day, when obviously he went to the World Cup and then things happened. So like, especially for English youngsters, you're always like, yo, because I feel like in England, they don't have the right platform for their youngsters to reach the next stage. And that's usually because managers don't give them a chance. And that's exactly what I was looking at Phil Foden for these last two seasons, because I was like, Pep keeps saying how good he is, but then you'll see Phil get like 5 games for the season. And then it's like, what are we doing? Like,
exactly.
And then the reason why
Phil Foden is amazing. He's the best thing to come to the. Oh, shut up, right?
Yeah, and he was like, he said the one time, I'll give Phil Foden 300K a week. Like, that's what he deserves. And I was like, why isn't he on that?
I actually remember him saying, I think it was when he was, 16, he said he's never seen a better 16-year-old ever.
Yeah.
He's more advanced than anyone. And I was like, okay, cool, prove it. Like, throw him in the team and let's see what you mean, you know?
Yeah.
And then he just chills on the bench and then he comes on in for a Carabao Cup game.
Games Oldham or something.
One game where I did see how intelligent Phil Foden was against Liverpool 2 weeks ago. That's when I actually saw Phil Foden up close in a game where it matters. That's where I saw, okay, this boy is something. This boy is something. I'll be a little bit biased. We actually gave him that goal. Like, the goal was like the way he passed to
Bro, we gave City that game.
Yeah.
Like,
you did.
You had them on worst defensive performance. Yeah. And that was the worst defensive performance we've ever, because Liverpool, we've been beating City. Like, let's be honest. Like, it's not like City's been beating. So for me to say that was our worst performance, not me being salty, it's just fact. Like, because we've seen us play City before, like, numerous times. Like, we've given them 5-1, 3-1, like, so
also
that
think
was
your
the
team's
worst
tired
performance.
now as well, to be fair.
Yeah, and also when you see Van Dijk on Sky Sports with a Heineken, it's like, okay, bro, like 4 days before, you already know the vibes they're gonna be in for the next game.
Exactly.
So I was like,
you see Klopp with like a huge draft in his hand, bro.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, Phil Foden, because I held him highly, and then I also, because Sancho was also my reference point, and when I saw Sancho go do crazy things in the Bundesliga, and although a lot of people like to discredit the Bundesliga, but I still think it's one of the top 3 leagues in world football.
Leon Bailey.
Leon Bailey, also another one. But when I saw Sancho do that, and you see glimpses of brilliance whenever Phil Foden touches the field. Like, you can see sometimes that he has this in him. And also, you know, when you see a great player play, like even Ozil, like back in the day, obviously, not now.
I was going to say, what the fuck?
when you see, like, you see them play a pass, and you like, oh my God, that was an excellent idea. But then the rest of the team can't read that pass. And I saw Foden do that. I can't remember which game it was. But he showed crazy vision. And then I was like, nah, this guy's special. And then, obviously when I saw him take that shot against Liverpool, it was a nice shot. Although, like, we did just leave him. But yeah, you can see there's a fire in him and he's ready for big things. It's just whether or not Pep will give him that confidence and that stage to perform.
Yeah.